Oh my God. See if there's anything else about Venezuela. Venezuela. I don't think so. I think it. I pretty much. I think everyone pretty much covered it. So I don't want to go too long talking about it. We'll see what happens in the near and a little bit more distant future with this whole thing. But uh, my personal take on it is no, I don't regret my Trump vote. This is what I voted for. And I like the fact that uh, he's going after the oil. Yeah, I want to see it. Now, it also depends on what he does with that oil. Because I know, the wars for oil, man, like Iraq and the Middle East, uh, any military action we've taken over there has always been, well, it's for the oil. And then even back then, I said things like, good, let's get some cheap oil. But then the oil didn't come to us. The oil went to the various corporations that donate to the politicians, and they didn't lower their prices because they got this new oil. They just got a bunch of oil and made even more money. Man. But in this case, I would like to see the oil come here, and because the supply would be very high from that oil, the price would go down. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Naive, Anthony? Perhaps, but only time will tell. Because Trump is a different animal here. He's a different animal. That's why people hate him so much. He's not the business as usual politician guy. He's fallen into some of that. I'm not going to sit here and completely lap his ass. The swamp still exists. He's got people in the swamp that are very close to him, working in his administration. He's got some useless people like Pam Bondi. She needs to go. Some real fucking hard-hitting indictments need to be slapped on some of these people, and they need to be prosecuted quickly. And what do we see from Bondi? Nothing. Nothing. Not bad for a 60-year-old broad, but she's not effective. She is not effective. And then we have Tim Walz. This is fallout from the Somali child daycare, senior center, transportation, all the fraud that's going on up there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and many, many other places that have yet to been exposed. But it's happening. Oh, boy, it is happening. And so we know the story. I don't have to go into that. The Minneapolis child daycare centers, they're getting millions upon millions of federal tax dollars, our money, because they say, hey, this is a daycare center. No kids, no anything, but the government is just giving them money. And I think people like Ilhan Omar and Tim Walz and Jacob Frey and plenty of other people up there were running block for them. Any inkling of an investigation, any paperwork that needed to be fudged was taken care of by these crooked, corrupt politicians. And as a payback, they were getting a huge Somali vote and financial donations to their campaigns. That's how it worked. And round she goes. And that money was also being sent back to Somalia for God knows what. I'm sure it wasn't to build new schools over there and any do-gooders. It wasn't going to do-gooders over in Somalia. So Tim Walz has just decided he will not run. He will not seek re-election as the governor of Minnesota. Now, this wasn't even hinted at before this scandal. Not even hinted at. And I have to imagine, if you are absolutely innocent of any wrongdoing, you would stay in there and fight for your name. At the very least, I would think Tim Walz would say, no, I am going to stick this out. I'm going to continue to be the governor because I want to show everyone that I'm an effective leader and I have nothing to do with any of this fraud. I was helping fight it. I was telling our attorney general to look into this and take care of it. And I will stay here as your governor. Thank you. But he just said, yeah, I'm not going to seek that. I'm going to finish out my term. And oh, geez, please don't indict me. That's what it sounds like. If you're innocent, you don't turn around and run for cover. I think Tim Walz knows he is going to have to spend a lot of time and resources defending himself once those indictments start coming down. And the idea of trying to run for governor and then having to drop out of the race when you're already in it, really. He hasn't been campaigning. So who knows? Maybe also, that would affect another Democrat candidate in Minnesota. If he didn't step down or say he's not stepping down, but if he didn't say, I'm not running, and he continued letting people think that he was going to run for governor again for another term, and then this scandal breaks and he's proven or at least alleged to be involved, that's going to hurt any Democrat candidate for governor. So we'll see. I'm curious to see if he doesn't resign at some point. Can he wait it out? Or will enough proof come up of his involvement where he can be indicted? And, it would really be a good thing for Minnesota if a Republican governor got in there. Maybe get the old flag back, huh? Have you seen that? Have you seen this? Have you seen this, people? This happened a while ago, but it was a little under the radar. But now that Walz is saying he's not going to run and there's all this Somali fraud going on, because why else would he do something like this? He did this. He changed the Minnesota state flag from a very Americana-looking seal of the state of Minnesota with some of the artwork in it depicting the beginnings of that state, the rustic kind of pioneer spirit of the Minnesotan. I hate that they're Minnesotans. Minnesotanese, maybe. But he decided to take that flag, shove it up his ass, and they designed a new flag that looks suspiciously like the Somali flag. Same colors. Same colors. There's a star on it. The star on the Minnesota flag has more points on it, but it's a star. I guess they didn't really want to go, well, it's just the Somali flag. Let's take the Somali flag, and that's the new Minnesota flag. They couldn't do that. I'm sure they wanted to, but they knew that would just be a little much. So they made it as close as they could to a Somali flag, still being able to go, no, this is just a new design. But you take the entire state flag and turn it into a tribute to Somalia? He did this. Watch this clip.
All right, ready. Whoa.
Here's the old flag. Get rid of that. Let's bring in a Somali flag.
There, that's better.
Somali and gay.
Whoa, wait a minute.
It's got that gay kind of a delta thing on it. Oh God. The light blue, the star. Pop up the Somali flag if you could, Sean. I probably should have included it in the show preparation. Yeah. Yeah. And you're telling me that, what? It's a coincidence. And they even put the new Minnesota flag. It's at the top in the middle. That's it. And the rest of them are various iterations of the Somali flag. You really want me to believe it was just, whatever. We just came up with a flag and it happened to look like, when it seems Somalis are running at least Minneapolis, if not the entire state. They have quite a hold on the state of Minnesota. And we're seeing the byproduct of just that. The corruption, the power that they have with such low IQ and such big bases of power in Minnesota. And then these castrated puppets like Jacob Frey and Tim Walz. And then the terrorism from within like Ilhan Omar, where she holds a fucking seat. And look at what they've done with it. Look what they've done with it. You would think if a bunch of people came from a war-torn, disgusting, impoverished nation like Somalia, came here and were able to actually get into seats of power, open businesses, become a voting bloc that has huge influence, you would think maybe you could use that to build your community up and maybe do some good for society. It's a dream. What they thought was, let's get a power base, we'll get a foothold, and then we'll just rob these people blind. The taxpayer, all the taxpayers that made it possible for us to come over here from that shithole. Let's just ram it up their fucking ass under a Somali flag of the great state of Minnesota. Remember when we thought Jesse was a bad governor? Minnesota. At least I didn't kowtow to the Somalis. I fought them when I was a Navy SEAL. I should have fought them in the WWF ring. I'll strangle them with my feather boa. Remember, he was nuts. I seriously don't even know what his take was then on Somalis. Were Somalis coming into Minnesota and Minneapolis a thing under Jesse Ventura? I'm sure they were beginning to come in, but I don't think anyone had the idea that it was going to be so detrimental and so many were going to be put in one spot like that as to carve out this niche and have a huge influential voting bloc in the state of Minnesota. So I don't know. But, we're looking at Tim Walz, Utenzi. So here is Tim. This is kind of his casual announcement that he was dropping out of the race, standing outside in the cool Minnesota weather with his daughter, who, if you notice, and I hate this, it makes me do this every time. She's got like the white gook in the corners of her mouth that every person who's on antidepressants and antipsychotics, just another one of these kids of liberal Democrats that are batshit crazy. And, I don't know for sure, but I can kind of suspect that she's down in these fucking antipsychotic drugs, and it just gives you that goop, and then later it just becomes a dry crust of white on the corners of your mouth. Great way to tell if somebody's batshit crazy. Let's watch.
Okay, we're on a typical Midwestern morning run here.
Ugh.
I am literally in all of my dad's things. I just brought leggings and a sports bra, so I thrifted this sweatshirt in high school. Anyways, by the time this video comes out, everybody will know that Tim is no longer running for governor, but he still has a year on the job.
Calls her dad Tim?
And is going to give it his all and do a lot of amazing things. And I just wanted to let Tim talk to you guys.
Hey everybody, glad to always get Hope home. Beautiful January day, beautiful run. We'll do a few miles. Just wanted to say how grateful I am to everybody out in Minnesota. Grateful for the 7 years and the year that's coming up to make Minnesota better. We're feeding our kids. We're lowering childhood poverty. We're addressing climate change. We started paid family and medical leave.
Somali fraud.
And we treat our neighbors with respect and welcome people to this state. I need to focus on getting
Criminals.
this job done. It's very clear that that's not the focus of the White House. They do not care about Minnesota. It's about making Minnesota meaner and colder and just less friendly. So I'm going to focus on this. Rest assured, Democrats will win this seat. They will keep a progressive agenda. We will keep fighting against this White House and these unconstitutional acts. But I just want to say my gratitude for Minnesota. I never ran to get this job. I ran to do the job. And I want to do that job right now. And this means I get to spend more time with Hope, more time adventuring.
We're going to take some fun trips. We're already talking about it.
Wipe your mouth.
And I'm just getting started. I am now being let loose because of this, people. So good luck, Donald Trump and all the Republicans, because you have not seen the last of me or him, to be quite honest.
Happy New Year,
Happy
folks.
New
It was stringing. I didn't run to get this job. I ran to do this job. More of that political babble that means nothing, does nothing. And the Washington agenda and Trump, because he doesn't care about the people of Minnesota. How about that they've been robbed blind for years under your watch? And you've done nothing. At the very least, you've done nothing. Turned a blind eye. More likely, you were directly involved in their ability to perpetrate these crimes and this fraud. So go away. Just fade away. There is somebody that is petrified. Every night he goes to bed, he's petrified of that boom, 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 boom on the door. FBI, female body inspector. Nope. The feds. He's got to wonder. With Trump in office, he's not just turning a blind eye to this corruption. It makes him look very good, and it's good for the country. Much to the Democrats' chagrin, finding and stopping corruption that costs taxpayers money, is a good thing for the country. And I think a lot of Americans like that. And and expect that from their politicians. So if Trump could pull a few of these really well-known faces like Walz and Ilhan Omar out of their houses, pull them out, cuff them, and give a little call to some of the news agencies like they did when they busted down the door and dragged Roger Stone and his wife out of his house. Give a little call. Give a little call to some of the independent journalists that we've seen. Like the young guy that broke open this story and exposed it to millions and millions of people on X. What's his name? Shirley? Last name is Shirley. I got a friend Shirley that's bigger than you. But yeah, that's what we need to see. So I just assume Tim Walz goes to bed and he's like, is it going to be tonight? Is tonight the night? Boom, 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 boom. Search warrant, FBI. Bam. It just, I got goosebumps. Just imagining that scene. Tim Walz in his boxers, bare feet, no shirt on, hair, whatever, just whatever's left is a mess, and he's just cuffed. The lights of the independent YouTube journalists are just shining in his face. Tim, fucked around and found out, huh? They're not asking him questions like the old media, the old mainstream media did. They're just taunting him. Tim, what happened there, huh? Oh, God, would that be fucking wonderful? Let me just soak that in for a minute. That was a good little fantasy I just conjured up. When I was a young man, I'd conjure up fantasies that included Playboy Playmate Barbie Benton. Now it's the FBI smashing Tim Walz's door and dragging him out into the cold Minnesota winter night. Things change.